Let me tell you about my call, because I can relate. The disciples feel when they hear this sudden announcement, they feel ordinary. As anybody here does right now. Ordinary. I felt that way. I just finished my 4th semester of seminary. I'd only been in a church for 2 years. The prior 6, I'd never gone to church. I wasn't a believer. And before that, I was a Roman Catholic, and all we had was Latin. I knew very little about church. I'd never preached a sermon. In May, I was the basketball coach. There I am. And just in case you don't know which one's me, I was the basketball coach for our church team. These boys are all from the projects, and they were good. I couldn't even coach basketball. All I did was drive into the games and roll the ball out. But they won the championship. They beat everybody. And it was fun. At the end of the season, and at the end of the semester, in fact, it's 42 years ago yesterday, the church came to me and said, our pastor has resigned. He's leaving. We don't have anybody else except you. Would you be our pastor? Oh, I said. And they said, we'll give you $50 a month. Manuel Angel he's there in the corner. He was about to come to Christ that summer, first summer of my pastoral, career. He came to Christ that summer, and he'd been with us, so he knows the church I'm talking about. Dennis, you know it too. I become the pastor. I couldn't preach my way out of a paper bag. And everybody suffered, no doubt. But I said, Lord, I guess I'm the only guy. Help me. And he did. 42 years later, still here. All glory to God on that one. So, Jesus gave him authority and power to drive out all demons and to cure diseases. Authority and power. Let's talk about that for a minute. Let's say you live in a neighborhood that has a violent street gang. Like that one. One night you walk out to the mailbox and suddenly the gang steps out of the shadows and demands your money. They have great power over you, but they have no authority. While you're scrambling to get your wallet out of your pocket, a police officer drives up in his car. He, of course, has authority over the gang, but unless he gets a lot of backup, he has no power to do anything. Well, when Jesus sent out his 12 apostles to do ministry, he gave them both authority and power. And then he sends them to actually do it, to preach and to heal the sick. Preaching to take care of people's spirits, and healing to take care of their bodies. We'll be doing that here soon with this day camp. We'll visit the parents of the day camp. We are providing for their children. We're taking care of their physical needs. We'll bring an example of their work, a bag of treats, which we'll ask some of you to put together for us, a free entry pass to our night at Lakeside Amusement Park, and an offer to pray for their needs. On a later visit, we'll give them our 3-word testimony that Trent taught so well last week, and then show them the steps to peace with God. 25 teams of 2 or 3. Back then, it was 6 teams of 2. Jesus tells them, take nothing for the journey. No staff, no bag, no bread, no money, no extra shirt. You're going right now. Oh, Mark adds that they were to bring a bottle of oil for the healing. But otherwise, they got to trust the Lord to provide everything else. It's a real faith step. And that's what we're going to be doing as a church. Now this here is the closeout campaign to Galilee up north. Jesus will pretty much be focusing south from here on. The 16s will catch those small, out-of-the-way places that haven't been visited yet. Who here has lived in a small, out-of-the-way place? Show of hands. Mark, where you lived? Okay. Somebody else? Ruth? Decatur, Michigan. Yep. What do you say, Alan? Commerce City. Yeah, that's a crazy. You know, they got 364th Streets. They can't come up with new names and this, that. I've been lost on those. I'm just telling you from experience. That is an out-of-the-way place. Somebody else? Anybody else? Kenny?
Jefferson, Iowa.
Jefferson, Iowa. Yeah, okay. All right, so you know, sometimes you don't get the mainstream events. That was the case here. So Jesus sends them out in pairs. What if the Lord were to ask you to do something you figured the ministers should do? To begin with, when the Lord asked his disciples, they were in shock. But here's what came after the shock. Verse 4. They go to one of the houses in each village. Just one house. That's what they start with. They go up to the door and they say, we have good news. God is for real. And he sent Jesus to prove it. How can we help you? And the people say, hey, yeah, right. Can Jesus really do anything for us? Because the people were really oppressed. They're very poor. And the Romans took most of their income, most of their produce. They were under a thumb. And they suffered. Okay, they say, here's our grandmother. She has a fever that won't go away and she's getting worse. What can you do? Whoa, what are you doing to her? We're putting oil on her and we're telling the disease that Jesus says, leave her. And then, wow, we can't believe it. She's well. Don't go anywhere. We're inviting our neighbors over. Eat our food, live in our home. We can't pay you enough for what you and this Jesus have done. If the people don't welcome you, don't welcome them, then they leave. They leave. It's harvest time, Jesus had told them. So I want you to look, and we talked about this 3 weeks ago. I want you to look for the low-hanging fruit when you go out. The fruit that's ready to pick. Harvest the low-hanging fruit, the people in whose houses we go, that harvest that first. Because there are people who are very, very, very far away from me. There are others who are closer. They're already open. God's working on them and they're letting him. Don't ignore the faraway people, but pick the low-hanging fruit first. And Jesus says to them, there's a lot of it. He's saying the same to us because we've asked him to put us in a poor neighborhood, and according to the Bible, God has chosen those who were poor in the eyes of the world to be rich in faith. So there's a lot of low-hanging fruit here. And he's also said to them and to us, those 12 back then and to us today, they need, though, someone who knows me and who loves me to come and speak to them, to meet them, to answer their questions, to serve them, and see them enter into a relationship with me. So, they went out. And they did it. What if the Lord were to ask you to do something you figured the ministers are supposed to do. 3 things as we close. Number 1, we say, okay, I'll try it. Now, the next couple of weeks, we're going to go to each of you and we're going to ask you to help us do something relative to this day camp. In fact, Betty Fry is asking people who are free in the daytime to help her serve lunch at the camp. We're going to ask you to bag up, some people that bag up things. We're going to ask some of you to go out door to door with us and visit the families. We're going to ask others of you to stay here while those of us are going out and to pray for us. And we'll lead you in a prayer time. We say, okay, God, we'll do it. Like the disciples did back then. Number 2, we may decide we want to do something a little more active. We say join Noe's soccer team, his outreach on Thursday night, because it's to those very same apartments that we are drawing children for the camp. We'd love to get those soccer parents here, those parents here in the church. Or Sarah's doing mothers of preschoolers during the day. Or see me and Trent. We'll hook you up on something. And then finally, number 3, we have to believe that He's with us. He really will be with us then, like He is right now in here. Jesus said, all authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Therefore, go out and make disciples of those people. And surely I'm with you always. Now, we finished with a story we've done before, but it's worth retelling. Back when the West was being settled, the major means of transportation was what? That's right. The wagon, the stagecoach. Now, we've seen people riding in the stagecoaches in Western movies. What we might not know, even though we've told this before, is that the stagecoach had 3 different kinds of tickets. First class, second class, and third class. Now, if you had a first class ticket, that meant you could remain seated during the entire trip, no matter what happened. If the stagecoach got stuck in the mud or had trouble making it up a steep hill, or even if a wheel fell off, you could remain seated because you had what kind of ticket? That's right. If you had a second class ticket, you could also remain seated until there was a problem. In case of a problem, though, second class ticket holders would have to get off. They'd have to get out until the problem was resolved. You could stand off to the side and watch as the other people worked. You didn't have to get your hands dirty because you had what kind of ticket? Second class ticket. Then after the stagecoach was unstuck, you could get back on. If you had a third class ticket, you definitely had to get off if there was a problem. Why? Because it was your job to help fix the problem. You had to get out and push or help lift to fix a broken wheel or whatever was needed because you had what kind of ticket? That's right. Now there are those in the Church of America today who think they have, what kind of tickets do you think they have? That's right. They just sit there while everybody else does the work. There are also those who think they have a second-class ticket. They ride along until there's a problem, then they become detached spectators and wait till things get fixed and then they get back on. Thankfully, though, there are those who are willing to travel with a third-class ticket. They get out and they do it. The disciples had third-class tickets. Frankly, so do all of us. Please stand. And I'm going to invite Connie to play for us, please. And Mary Housey,